Hi guys, James at Goddard Radio Moscow Beer and Metal Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to my series of Kiwi beer reviews that I've been doing for you over the last little bit, and we're going to go down to Wellington in the southern part of the North Island and visit a fairly new brewery called Garage Project, and this beer is their Hāpi Daze Pacific Pale Ale. Now, as is usual with my reviews, I'll take you through a minute or two of history of the brewery. It is very short, but if you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. The brewery website's in the video description for you below. There's a lot of beers available from these guys, so do be sure to check it out. And the link to my other reviews that I will hopefully be able to do from these guys in the near future is down there as well. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the Garage Project Brewery. Garage Project was founded in 2011 in Wellington by Peter Gillespie, Ian Gillespie and Josh Russell, and all three had worked in other breweries before they actually founded the Garage Project. And they say that they were founded, when they were founded, they were a nano brewery and they had a small brewing apparatus of only 50 litres, and they said this allowed them to experiment and take risks. And basically all of these guys, when they started up this brewery, they downscaled to a really small apparatus, like I was saying, and you know, it's really good for them to do that for experimentation. And you will see that they do about 30 or so different beers in their range, and that's probably the result of using such a small apparatus and experimenting so much. But Peter Gillespie is the brewer at Garage Project, and he was previously an academic before he went on to work at breweries in the UK and Australia before finally getting involved in the Garage Project in his hometown. Apparently he came back to New Zealand after 20 years of living away. Josh Russell is known as a beer enthusiast in Wellington, and he's known, kind of seen as the idea man of the brewery, and apparently he's very enthusiastic and passionate about pushing craft beer forward. While Ian Gillespie, who is Peter's brother, he's seen as the glue that holds the trio together, and apparently the brewery was squatting in his garage in the very early days, and he'd previously run and set up cafes, and he seems to be the one who does a lot of the kind of customer liaising of the brewery and stuff like that. So as I said to you, that's your kind of brief sort of history of the brewery, if you like. As I said to you at the start of the video, there's about 30 or so different beers here, and I've got a whole list of them. You mean you've got Angry Preacher, API 3.0, Arrow Noir, Baltic Porter, Beer, which is quite an interesting one, a plain can, but it's intended just as a plain lager beer, Beyond the Pale, Burning Globe, California Uber Alice, Cat's Pajamas, Cereal Milk Stout, Chateau Arrow, Cherry Bomb, Day of the Dead, Death from Above, Garagista, Hops on Point, Lil Red Rye, Golden Brown, Hāpi Daze, La Cavalera Katrina, Louisiana Voodoo Queen, Mecca Hop, Mon Petit Chou, Pan Pacific, Pernicious Weed, Pills and Thrills, Red Rocks Reserve, Sauvignon Novo, Smoke and Mirrors, Summer Sommer, Texas Tea, Touchwood, Tournesol, Trip Hop, Umami Monster, VPA and Wabi Sabi Sour. So there's a whole host of beers. Go and check out their website and you will actually get an idea of what some of these different ones are about. But that's all the information I should probably give you on the brewery just now. We'll get on to the tasting of this beer itself. I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on the can here. It's actually quite nicely done actually. I really like the sort of blue and silver colour scheme that they've gone for here with just a little bit of yellow. Very, very nicely done. It tells you a little bit just on the back of this. It says Hāpi Daze. Hāpi is the Maori word for hop, and it inspires this truly Pacific Pale Ale. Brewed with New Zealand barley and the best of the Kiwi hop harvest Motueka, Waiiti, Riwaka and Nelson Sauvin, assertively hoppy, exceptionally drinkable. And it says Garage Project is a small brewery located in an old petrol station on Arrow Road in Wellington, New Zealand. We like to be pushing boundaries, reinterpreting styles and challenging the notions of what beer can be. And this can actually, if you look at it, it seems to be like a Norwegian or a Swedish import. I'm not kind of so sure how you can, if you can see that on the camera, but you can see it says you get a 1 krona return if you actually return it. So they must be exporting away over to Sweden, Norway and stuff like that. It does say Norway rather than Sweden, and it has Finland on this as well, and Sweden. Yeah, Finland, Sweden, Norway are all listed on here, and it's listed Australia as well, so they must be exporting all the way over there. But without further ado, let's get on with the tasting of this guy. And this guy is 4.6%. It's a Pacific Pale Ale it's described as, so let's get on with it. So as you can see, nice teeny little bit of smoke on the opening, and we'll just get this guy out and into the tankard. Don't have a smaller tankard unfortunately, but don't think that's really going to matter when it comes to just giving this guy a taste. So as you can see, it's poured a really nice kind of bright goldeny amber colour. It looks an absolutely beautiful beer, this, I have to say. So you can see, I'll just check that you're seeing this in the light. If I bring it up to the camera here, you can see it's a really rich kind of hazy golden amber colour there. There's a full finger of a frothy white head, a little bit of bumpy bubbles in there too, some big bubbles just sticking to the edge of the glass and a lot of little ones rushing up towards the bottom of the head. So in terms of the aroma, it's actually very fruity. but there's a good bit of malt aroma coming out of this guy as well. So you've got quite a tropical fruit, some grapefruit, and I think it's mangoes actually that's coming out of this one, and maybe, yeah, there's definitely mango in this guy. You can pick that up. Just it's difficult to describe the actual smell of mangoes, but if you know your fruits from making juices and stuff, there's a definite mango smell in this one. It just has that kind of sourish. It's got a slightly different sourish character to it than the grapefruit, but there's a definite blend of grapefruit and mango in there. Maybe even a little bit of sharper peach in there, but there's some pine resin, and you can definitely pick up the pale and caramel malts, but I'm certain this smells like mangoes. I'm absolutely certain of that. People might want to correct me in the comment section below. As I always say, beer is subjective, but I'm pretty sure that's a big mango. That's a big mango aroma that's coming off of this guy. But yeah, it's quite a tropical fruity one. I'm not picking up much in the way of citrus out of this guy, but of course you would expect that. With it being a Pacific Pale Ale, you get more of a kind of tropical fruity note from it. But yeah, there's definitely a bit of caramel malt in there underneath, and you can pick up just a little bit of the kind of pale malt, the sort of light breadiness that you get from that particular thing. But without further ado, let's have a taste of the Hāpi Daze from Garage Project in Wellington. 4.6%. Cheers. That's quite interesting. It's a very light and drinkable IPA. The one thing I'm noticing is that in the aftertaste you're getting a build up of the kind of, it's got a quite bready and cereally malt, but I guess if it has the barley in it, that is kind of what's building, and that's just blanket in the middle of the tongue there. It's quite nice, but you do have just a little bit of it's almost like just a dryish hop character around the edge of your tongue, but it's mainly, the aftertaste of this guy is mainly malt. The fruit comes in and then goes and disappears quite quickly. Yeah, you get a nice juicy fruit that just kind of, and it gives you that oily mouthfeel, then it just gradually fades away and gives you that kind of barley-ish cereal malt base. There is a teeny little bit of caramel in there, but the malt base is mainly a kind of cereal barley-ish sort of taste. When, of course, when the barley's in the beer, that's what you would expect, but it's quite interesting in that regard. I've never had a pale ale that I can remember that takes that kind of approach to the flavour. But yeah, you get this juicy character that just builds in this oily bubble towards the front of the tongue. So you've got some nice grapefruit in there and some mangoes. Not really picking up any citrusy fruit, I have to admit. It is mainly grapefruit and mangoes, but it is quite mild at the same time. It's not quite as strong and pine resiny as some of them have had. There is just a little bit of pine resin, just a very small amount goes around the edge of the tongue and gives it a little bit of dry character, but I would be tempted to say that it's more of a sort of grassiness in this. It's not even an aromatic one where you get that little bit of dry bite. The hop character of this isn't so bitter at all. But that said, you do get a little bit of it just in the aftertaste. There's a nice lingering mild bitterness in this one, and maybe that is just a little bit of pine resin, but there's a definite kind of barley spice in this one that is mainly what lingers on the tongue there. Quite an interesting one this, because it's flavours that you don't, I've never really done very many Pacific Pale Ales, but this guy kind of, you know, it's new flavours that I'm encountering with this review. Yeah, tropical fruits in there, like I'm saying, grapefruit and mango, that just builds up, and then on the front of the tongue you get this oily bubble that kind of brings out the mango flavours. There maybe is just a little bit of a touch of orange in there, but very, very little, I'd say. There is a teeny wee bit of pine resin that just sticks around the edges of the tongue, the very edges. It's mainly a fruity one, but then the malt base is a kind of pale maltish. There is maybe like a teeny bit of caramel or biscuit in there, but it's mainly that barley flavour you're getting out of it. So it's very interesting. It's quite an unusual blend of flavours, this guy, and if you go and look through all the beers on the website, like I was saying, there's so many different styles there, so they'll be trying to make something that's, you know, not normal, if you like. So it's cool to actually have that where you can taste a few different things. But yeah, it's really nice. I mean, overall with the mouthfeel, I would say it's very light bodied, the carbonation on it's very soft, and it's got that nice oily mouthfeel that brings out the different fruits, and it's got a nice, just a little bit of bitter and dry quality as well. This is a beer that it's a nice refreshing one. If you want a hoppier beer that's refreshing on a good hot day, you know, I would go for this. It's nowhere near as heavy as some of the IPAs and stuff, or the pale ales that you can get that I've encountered, but it's very nicely done. It's got a lot of flavour to it, and as I said, it's a very interesting and quite unusual blend of flavours, which seem to be one of the kind of characteristics of these guys. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. My first review from Garage Prod has been really interesting, and hopefully I'll get back to New Zealand at some point and I can review a few more of them. Some of the beers on the website looked really interesting, but as always, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Let me know in the comments section your own thoughts on this beer below, and let me know if your thoughts on the other ones from this brewery actually, because as I say, they looked very interesting. But please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff, comment below, and I will catch you soon with the last in my series of Kiwi beer reviews for the moment. Cheers!